Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. And you know what that means. It's time to show me your nuts. Just running down the, Zoom halls and video halls of the world to get here this morning. And so I'm kind of just catching my breath for you guys. But I am so excited for my guest today. Probably the most impactful, impactful connection that I have made in the last year is with the person that you're going to meet today. And talk about breakthroughs. Not only AI breakthroughs, which is what we're going to talk about, but I'm going to say that the personal breakthroughs that I have had in so many areas after meeting our guest today have just blown my mind. And that's saying a lot. Those of you who know me know. If you know, you know. So we're going to talk about breakthroughs today when we're talking about AI and talking about tech. And I don't mean breakthroughs with tech that, we're coming up with this new stuff. It's how does the new thing, the new tech, collide with our old ways of thinking? And where is that a positive and where is it a negative, or potentially negative, where people think it's a negative? What are the pros and cons? How do we make these things positive impacts in the world? So positive impacts, like how do we take new tech and make sure it works for good? How do we take new things and have it be a positive thing for humans? Because if you've watched the show for any length of time, you've heard me talk about tech is not just a computer or a digital object. Technology takes us all the way back to fire. The first technology that humans used was fire and rocks, and we made tools and we started making things. And then all of a sudden we were chipping tools into rocks and we had writing. And then all of a sudden we had something we could scribe. We'd make ink out of plants and then we'd write, and then we'd had the printing press, and then we ended up with cars, and then we ended up with radio, and then all of a sudden we ended up with MTV on August 1st, 1981 at 12:01 a.m. And then we think things are moving fast, things are moving faster, things are moving faster, and these things are going to kill us. And they don't. The thing that harms humans is humans making decisions about the tools, not the tools themselves. That is my bottom line when I discuss things. Every tool can be used for good. Every tool can be used for evil. And that kind of is the gist of where we're going to go today. We might go several other places, though. You never know. Because on Show Me Your Nuts, we kind of travel around the world. And we're going to do that today, too. So what does breakthrough mean when the thing breaking through is coaching itself as a profession, and when the thing breaking through is the use of these tools we call AI, or artificial intelligence, which actually are not new. Some of the first ones were in the 50s. Fun fact. But we've got coaching breaking through as a profession and AI breaking through as a tool. And what happens when you bring those two together? This week is the last week of our cycle 3, which we have 6-week cycles. And this is the 6th week of breakthroughs. And so we're going to talk about a story of someone who is breaking through barriers. And this episode is that story of breaking through barriers told by a person breaking through that barrier. I am so excited to bring to the stage my friend and colleague and mentor and just somebody I dearly love, Dr. Lisa Leit. Welcome to Show Me Your Nuts. How are you this morning?
So good to see you. I'm doing great. How are you?
And actually, I'll say, how are you this morning because I'm in Kansas City, but how are you this afternoon because you are not in the central time zone?
True. It is 5:37 here in Spain. So I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. How are you?
I am amazing. I actually got to sleep at a decent hour last night, which for me, and if you know about Stacy, sometimes I stay up all night working on projects just because I'm excited about something, or if I don't have a meeting that next morning, I'll stay up all night working and then I'll sleep the next day. If you know anything about human design, I'm a generator, and a generator means you get fed by energy. So like when I'm with people, it hypes me up. And when I get ideas, it hypes me up. And I'm like, I just keep going. I'm like, apparently, I found this out recently. Apparently, if you're a generator, you're like the Energizer Bunny.
Oh,
that's perfect. And that explains such a ton about me. So we all have these human designs, and they cause us to, that's our way of being. So fun fact.
Yeah, very fun fact.
Yeah. So, but other people don't stay up all night or get drained by things that I do. So that's the other piece of that. We impact each other in this life. And, as you heard, as you guys heard, I said that Lisa has impacted me. She has a company called Happy Whole Human. And it's a multifaceted, layered, brilliant place on the interwebs and on the entire planet that I see as, and I want to see am I on or am I off? I see as this, I view your mission as to bring everyone on the planet the ability to be a happy whole human. How close am I on that?
No, that's very close. Everyone who's willing and ready.
Oh, okay. So tell us about, like, what was the moment that you realized the coaching industry needed a total infrastructure overhaul, not just better training, but a better foundation like Happy Whole Human?
Well, it wasn't exactly in that order. Do you mind if I kind of explain how
Please.
far back this goes? So
Yeah.
Even before I was a coach or thinking about coaching, journey with me back to Penn State University Park, Pennsylvania. 30 years ago, 1995, I'm working the night shift at it. Speaking of being up all night at the old college diner, paying my way through college and working hard. And so, and having a blast working with my friends. It was fun. And a friend of mine came in, Dominic Kulikowski, who's now a professor of forest ecology. 30 years later, he came in, he was studying for an OChem test, and he was up all night studying, and I was the waitress that was serving him, and he was a dear friend of mine. And so he told me, he's like, Lisa, you have to hear this. And I was like, please tell me something that will distract me from these drunken co-eds all around me. So he told me, listen, he's like, this is going to blow your mind. It was like 2 a.m., right? He's like, this is going to blow your mind. And he told me about carbon and covalent bonding, and how carbon, which is like the basic fundamental bottom line of all living things,
right,
on a subatomic level, it's like is always bonds with other atoms covalently or in a sharing way
Aha.
that catalyzes catalyst. He's like, a catalyst by its very nature doesn't itself change, but in the sharing, it allows tremendous releases of energy outside itself to happen that actually gives birth to stars. And I was like, what? And so this literally planned it, because I am a human ecology expert. So I fast forward 30 years, I have a PhD in human ecology, is forest ecology. And so he was fascinated with like the living world and in this subatomic level. And I was fascinated by the human implications of the metaphor. So I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a really cool metaphor. So thus ensued my sort of like, I was like, wow, this infinity sign idea of, wholenesses interacting as a catalyst, as an ongoing wholenesses interacting, people who are whole interacting in a mindful way, real time, catalyzing change outside themselves instead of being drained and sucked dry by codependent dynamics. It just all like hit me. And that was before I got my PhD, before Happy Whole Human was born, but that's the origin story. So this fascinating of like, how can we find the balance between our own wholeness and supporting other people's wholeness too? Like you said, you're a generator. I'm not, but how can I support you being the very best generator you can be? And you support me being the very best me I can be. And us in that just coexistence, in that lovely flow of support, catalyze change outside ourselves.
And welcome to the show, everyone. That was there we go. We that mic drop by itself, Lisa. That is because it is, we do as we impact each other. Yeah. And it is that infinity symbol because we put the energy back and forth and back and forth. And that's where, dare I say, the positives, where tools can be used for good or tools can be used for evil. Whatever energy you put in, it's that energy flowing back and forth in that infinity and how it works.
And later, when I was in an incubator for business in Austin, Texas, my mentor, Cole Harmonson, said, he said, I know you're an expert in narcissism. He's like, I'm kind of nervous to talk to you. He was so funny. He's like, I'm kind of nervous to talk to you. And I said, I was like, I'm off duty. Like, please, it's just relax. And Eddie's soldier. And he said, he's like, he had this epiphany because he's also like that dominant character of like, just download. And he gave me, and I want to thank them both so much. He's like, oh, I'll just stay present. I'll just stay present and we'll be fine. Like, I won't be narcissistic if I'm present. And I was like, oh my gosh, all the studies of mindfulness I had done and all the academic studies of narcissism I'd done, I was like, boom, like it was literally another one of those beautiful moments. So that is another very important part of what we're talking about.
Story, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And it's kind of, I think it's amazing how the complex and the simple also collide in your story.
Amen, sister.
So walk us through, like bring us through, walk us, let's flash forward to history of, like, what is Happy Whole Human now? And like, what's actually inside Happy Whole Human because you've got a website, you've got an app, you've got an institute, you've got a community. And I know there's more, what are the layers of Happy Whole Human, and what is it you're bringing into the world?
It all kind of goes back to that idea of interrelationship. So a win-win, interdependence as a catalyst. So how can we be individually whole and support others' wholeness as a person, as a leader, as a partner, if we're in a relationship, as a community member, as a team member. And so what Happy Whole Human, as a coach, what Happy Whole Human is an ecosystem that is like, it's an ecosystem that has, it's truly holistic in that it is like Russian dolls. It's like there are resources for individuals for whole person wellness.
Mm-hmm. So
As
for
you-
clients, users, humans across the planet.
as you well know, because you're doing the hypnosis training. So this inner system coherence. So befriending our inner system as people, coming to wholeness in ourselves, taking personal responsibility, self-leadership, and really healing from anything that keeps us from balance and wholeness. So that's the inner work. And so we've got an assessment, we've got resources, we've got coaching, we have all kinds of e-courses to help people optimize their well-being across 28 dimensions of personal, professional, and relationship health. So that's the whole person wellness. And coaches are trained to support that. And we have AI coaches also that support that. So we've got Mojo, the AI coach, who supports the whole person wellness, and he's trained as an ICF aligned coach, just like we train our coaches to support whole person wellness. So that's actually, our assessment is validated, and we actually have research studies that show that our program for individuals does yield meaningful, measurable, lasting improvements, really significant improvements in individual well-being. Our program is very effective in helping people live their best lives and really be optimize their personal, professional, and relationship health. So that's one piece of it.
And I'd like to highlight that piece also just for half a second is that this isn't your assessment. It's not just a quiz that was built. It's not just a, find out what kind of happy whole human you are. This is based on research. This is based on really hard work. And, just to research and come up with the instrument is hard work. But then you also have then the validation. And so this is based on science. It's based on the research. It's based on putting this out into the world and testing it, making sure that it's giving people results. And I want to make sure that that gets highlighted, that this isn't just an AI created item. Not that those are bad in and of themselves. They just have a different place in the world. Right. And then it is for then bringing that up to having Mojo as that AI coach. This isn't just let's build an AI coach. Mojo is very specifically trained to be ICF aligned, to make sure that it's following the competencies that ICF requires of a coach to be credentialed in that space. And it's not just somebody hanging out a shingle saying, I am a coach. And it's not just saying, this is an AI coach, we're going to say is an AI coach. And I want to be very clear about that. And I think underline the importance of those things as a solid foundational resource for people.
Yes, because AI is amazing as a tool. It is incredible, but it is very, there are a lot of risks, as you so well said. There are a lot of risks that come with it. We don't know what we don't know. And there's a lot that we need to be very careful about with AI. And so, yes, this is based on a lifetime of research and original research at a Research One university. My PhD is for an original research on narcissism and the balance of self and other focus is with my advisor, Deborah Jacobitz and Nancy Hazen-Swan, top in field in the University of Texas at Austin. So it's I was taught to be a quantitative research professor and have that background. That psychometric assessment design was part of my training, and certainly did do this original research.
Right.
Very rigorous, 6-year PhD program. And so that's, yes, there's a basis of that, but then for the assessment of the program, but there's also all these years of 20 years of clinical work,
Right.
and the intuition that comes from that, and the expertise that comes from that, and the commitment to integrity and safety that comes from that, as you so well know, because you also have been doing work with people for so long clinically. So you know what it takes to do that safely over the years. It's a constant, you have to be present. You have to constantly be really just checking yourself and making sure that what you do is conducive. And so there's a lot of care that has, and a lot of this is informed by all of that. And my husband, he's a he's a theoretical physicist. He retired from Los Alamos. His former passion was nuclear non-proliferation. So he thought that nuclear weapons was the biggest existential threat to our world back when he started his career at Los Alamos. And so he dedicated himself tirelessly to that and did encryption and did a lot of amazing work. And he is completely my hero, and so much respect.
He is so brilliant.
So brilliant. And now he believes that AI is our biggest existential threat as humans. And so now he's so excited to be working as our CTO, really doing the AI encryption layer for our app and for our coaching, AI coachings, to make it GDPR compliant and make sure that it's really safe.
Which is really another important thing I think I'd want to highlight as this isn't just, let's make sure we have GDPR. We're talking about this site and these services, really, the site and the services. So the humans and the computers in Happy Whole Human, I believe there's an underpinning of ethics and safety are vital to what's here. So anyone who uses the services, who comes and does the assessment, who talks to Mojo as a client, who comes as a coach, who comes as a client of one of the coaches, who takes a course, you're talking about the top notch in the world of tech and science encryption. We're not just, like I said, we're not just talking, we're going to do this and make sure we have a GDPR compliant font. This is not that level.
No. Working tirelessly. He's working 16-hour days to make this the very best. And he actually, in the process, detected a worm in the internet that was like everyone on the whole world was like thanking him for figuring this out. And it's like this. So it's just, I mean, I'm like popping, popcorn and just watching it and enjoying this entire thing, because it's just so cool to see him work. And so we're working together to create something really helpful to people, and also safe and very thoughtfully designed to be, to your point, as elegantly simple and doable and practical and applicable as possible. We do not want to have something that's overly academic or inaccessible. We want the price point to be good. We want it to be something that people can do. People can jump in there and get the changes that they're so desperately looking for.
The price point for a user, for someone who wants to just up-level their own individual life, the price point is, it boggled my mind. And I've talked to several of my personal clients about it. And when I tell them what the price point, and there's like, oh, well, that's doable.
Yeah.
And as a user and a coach, as somebody who's looking at this as a coach, I can personally say, I've personally used the tools in my practice. And some of the AI coach are and I think I've just literally scratched the surface, and I use it a lot. I use it every week. It has changed my practice with my clients, because I can do some things on the fly to help my clients. I can access resources quickly.
Yep.
As I'm hearing my client say something that they want or need, I can access the tool and get to a resource that I know I need for them, and then marry the two together literally in a hypnosis session. And I watched a client change one week from the person I met to the following week. I believe I met with a different person because of what we were able to do together in their session.
Correct. Yes. It's a truly transformational container
Mhm.
for individuals, also for couples. We have an entire program
Tell us about that,
for
'cause
couples
that's
and
exciting.
teams and executive leaders. So that's why I say it's like Russian doll. It's like a true ecosystem, because
Mhm.
if you think about it, okay, we are people, we're whole people, right? And we can aspire to wholeness ourselves, but then we're also playing these other roles. So if we have a relationship, then we're also part of a couple. And that relationship needs support as well. So that's
Mhm.
another, if that's a layer that people want to work on, they can add that piece, add couple resources, add a portal for the relationship.
And
And
what's in what's in the couple portal? Just for an example of what kind of resources would they have?
they have a couples pulse assessment and a conscious coevolution e-course, and they have their own Sofie AI coach, couples coach,
Oh,
and a bunch of different do-it-yourself resources, and very beautiful work with couples. I'm very excited, and dashboarding to show where they're starting, where they want to go, and the couple, also the coaches that we train are trained to work with the program. So it's
so it's things
couples
they can
coaching.
do on their own, in their
Mhm.
own time,
Yeah,
and then they also, if they wanted to work with a coach, they could find a coach that could, a human coach, not just they have the AI coach, Sofie, but then
mhm.
they also have the opportunity to take courses and have an a human coach meet with them, about the specific same, um, process that they're going through.
Correct. Yes. And a lot of the people that I work with at this point in my career are also executive leaders. So they are working on themselves as people,
Mhm.
and they're also working on themselves. If they're in a relationship, they're working on the relationship, because that goes with comes with the territory. As you change yourself, the relationship has to evolve too. So the
Mhm.
evolution has to also be
That
supported.
idea of throwing a pebble in the pond has to change to accept the pebble, and then there's more change, then it's changed back and forth, and it's in that infinity symbol. So
Yes.
then
Wholeness
they're
is,
also leaders, you said,
yes.
executives and leaders.
So if someone is also in the role of a leader, then we've got 360 assessments that measure, that actually they can do self-assessments, but also invite others to give them feedback on different
Mm.
competencies of leadership, just to get a sense of their impact. And so we use that. We have a e-course program, and Fergus is our AI coach for executive leaders, and we have executive coach training, ICF accredited as well. So we have a whole set of resources: assessment, e-course, coaching, AI coaching for leaders as well,
Mhm.
and also teams. So that's another, our last frontier is the teams. And so we offer the coach training, and then we offer the support for teams, because one person can be an individual, of course, looking at their whole person wellness, can be a spouse or a partner. They
Mhm.
can be an executive leader. They can be a team member or a team leader. One person can
Mhm.
have all of those different things happening. And
In
this
one place.
this is the one place to have the holistic support for all those different things that are, like you said, not colliding, co-evolving.
And I could see someone using, say, different AI coaches is, at one moment you're thinking about, oh, I had this discussion with my spouse and it caused this and this feeling for me. And then I went to work the next day and it caused me to be this way at work as a leader. And that caused my team to have this kind of situation. And then now I'm back to sitting here thinking about me as a human and what I'm doing as a self. And you can have that entire discussion with the AI coaches as you're going through all the feels yourself.
Correct. And I think a lot of people are doing this a lot. I think it's the biggest use of ChatGPT, by the way. People are kind of like using it as a coach.
I agree, and that's good and bad.
Right. It's
It,
incredible, but it's not fully safe.
let's yeah, I wanted to dive in of what do you think the biggest safety or not just safety, but like challenge is with that
I think
when
that
somebody does that, has that use.
I think privacy is of the utmost concern. And if the privacy policy changes, what happens then? When AI hallucinates, what happens then? There are a lot of situations where minors, for example, are being given the tools for self-destruction. I think there are some improvements being made, but it's not designed for safe support human development. It's not designed for that. And so it was trained primarily on social media originally. I mean, it's just not fully safe. And I just don't trust where that entire situation is heading, basically.
Right. And I would agree is it's, a large language model is literally trained. If you think of predictive text on your phone, when you're texting someone and it comes up with what it thinks the next word is, that's that at the most simplification is that's what AI how AI was trained. It's not trained as a therapist or coach who is trained both in the scientific manner, the theoretical pieces, underpinnings of our works, and the art, which is the human connection of things. And AI doesn't have, it knows what word may come after what word. And, yes, it could give you, it's a great brainstorming partner, but you have to remember that there's the limits there. It's not trained in the science and theory of human development. And it's also not trained in the art of how to watch for very small nuances in how someone's reacting to what you're saying and how to then take them to the next space, or how to keep them safe if they're not in a space that they need to be in. I literally just experienced this yesterday with a person. If I would have just followed the script I was following, they might have not been as safe at the end of the session I was in.
It's Anchorman with the teleprompter. It's like, you don't want to just do whatever the robot says. You do not want to do that.
I could have just followed the script. If I was AI, I would have just been following that script.
Correct.
And I noticed some things in what the person was saying and how I was visualizing them. And this was on a video call. I wasn't in the physical space with the person, but this was on a video call, which means if I would have lost the person, I was physically not in the same space to make sure they were safe. And so, as a coach or therapist, my biggest concern, my first and foremost concern, is that the other person I'm working with is safe. Because if they're not safe, I haven't done my job. And so if I would have just followed that teleprompter, that person may have not come out of the session. It was actually in a hypnosis. They wouldn't have come out of the session safely, and I could have damaged them. Like that's on me ethically. And I knew that. And I knew that because I had the theory and I had the art. And that's where I don't know, much as you guys have heard me, like I tout AI and tech being amazing tools. I am a geek girl at heart, but safety is first. And it doesn't have all of the pieces to be safe. And I don't think it ever will, because you have to have the human.
You have to have the human. I mean, the primary determinant of the effectiveness of any kind of intervention like coaching or therapy is the relationship between the practitioner and the person.
Give us that mic drop again, Dr. Lisa. Give us that mic drop again.
We cannot trust AI to create and hold. Well, no, we cannot trust AI to create and hold a safe container for our vulnerability.
It's not possible.
No.
It does amazing things. Do not get me wrong, but absolutely, it's not possible for it to completely hold that container the way a human does with another human.
Correct. That's right. And not all humans can be trusted with that either. That's why there's some people who just should not be in this.
That's true. A narcissist doing therapy with another narcissist. That sounds like that sounds like a recipe for a disaster. Poor things.
It could be dangerous. Yeah,
I mean, dangerous.
It could be dangerous.
So, but it also, I think that speaks to this being a synergistic journey with humans involved in this platform and with these tools, and AI being an amazing resource involved in these tools, because you can't just call up your therapist at 3 a.m, but you can call up Mojo or Clara or Sofie or Fergus at 3 a.m and put your thoughts in and get some ideas out. And maybe even it'll, it's not to say that it's not going to give you some sense of calm or repose if you're using it, and I think that's where the magic happens, is at that intersection, because these tools have been trained very specifically to follow the ethical and safety guidelines.
And Dean has designed it to have memory, and so it has a sense of, continuum time, and
you are right.
And you as a user, or we as users, can go in and delete those memories if we do not want them to be online. That is very important. And no one has access to them except the individual. So the only person that has access to them, no employer, no partner, no spouse, it's no coach, is going to have access to those inner workings, those details. That is completely up to the user, what they want to keep, what they don't. That makes it GDPR compliant. And so we're just really committed to that, because we know information can be used against people, and we want to be very careful with that.
Yeah.
It's also so amazing to have the ability to have it synthesized and fed back and reflected from something so extraordinary in terms of a tool.
Yeah. And so I want to shift gears just slightly and ask, why do these things matter to a coach, or to someone who let's just even say somebody who wants to be a coach? What would their path be, and why would these things matter for a human that just wants to help other people? What would their possible path be to come in and if they came across Happy Whole Human, which I'm going to put in the banner below, how you can find Happy Whole Human. What would them, why are these things important to people for that?
Well, coaches, I mean, it's kind of a Wild West situation with coaching, and it's very competitive. And I don't know any coaches that aren't wearing multiple hats unless they have a full-time job for an organization. I don't know any self-employed coaches that aren't working in several different ways, platforms, doing many different things. What Happy Whole Human does is it provides the ICF accredited training for the credentials to help people have the authority to be able to work with organizations and be able to just have that training, that professionalization training in an unregulated field. It's not a licensed field, but it does have kind of it's quality assurance, basically. And so it's professionalization and also tools. So our coaches get trained in all these different tools. So they will leave with not only the ICF credential, but also tools, and they can facilitate assessments. They can provide these programs to their clients so they can hit the ground running with things that are evidence-based and build with us. So we offer revenue shares with our graduates if they want to share those with their clients, they can sell them and get a percentage of that. So we build with our students and also our graduates, and also have the ability for them to layer on their own IP in our platform, which is something that I don't know if other platforms are doing. So that's where we have it. This really is like a business in a box, basically, for coaches in private practice. It's also a community of practice, very warm, very supportive community of brilliant, amazing people who are all so dedicated to their own development and helping others and supporting each other, very collaborative, not competitive, and thinking about how we can all help each other, how we can offer each other opportunities. We offer weekly ICF mentoring, weekly supervision, weekly opportunities to connect. And so it's, and we really do draw upon our own community to become instructors and so forth. So it's just a very beautiful.
So I see that as almost, it's another set of Russian dolls right next to you and working with, so we talked about the personal, like a user, an individual who wants to be better themselves. Then we're talking about coaches. I'm sure there are numbers and numbers of ICF coaching institutes, learning spaces where you can get an ICF credential. I am so personally, I know I'm just going to straight out say I am so blessed of where I landed, because I landed somewhere that's not just, oh, we're going to give you your ICF credential and that's it. This is even more than that. This is, you can come in not having anything, get you cut anything but your own background of your own human self, come in and get that credentialing, and not just the credentialing for ICF, but this whole structure of the Happy Whole Humans, your proprietary, things that hold up that assessment and the AI coaching and everything. It's another layer of training on top of just the ICF training, right? And then, if you're ever interested in hypnosis, that's even another layer. And personally, I came in as someone who was already a 25-year clinician as a clinical social worker, as a master practitioner of NLP, MER, and hypnosis. So I already had a background in hypnosis and clinical work, and had been doing coaching, which coaching is not therapy. I think we've talked about this before in the show, but just FYI, therapy, past, pathological, clinical diagnosis, coaching in the now and future oriented, to different but complementary spaces. And I have learned so much in such a short time that has nuanced and changed my personal practice. So and I've met colleagues who are coming in with all different backgrounds that way too. Like you said, the community of practice.
Yeah.
The energy inside the community of practice, just that personal energy that's between the different people who are working together, I can't even describe. I'll have to say, I don't know that there are very few times in my life I have felt that cohesive compatibility, like desire. Like when somebody says, "Ooh, I want the best for you," they're not just spewing bullshit. You can feel it in these rooms, you guys. I just can't say it enough, because there aren't words to truly describe that community. And the weekly resources and things like that. So if you are out there and you are, you've ever considered, I want to be a coach, or I want a credential in this Wild West unregulated space, these are voluntary credentials, but they're credentials that then give you, I'm just lost my words. I had a bunch of them there, and then I lost the one I wanted. Gives you a stable foundation to really build an ethical practice. I can't say enough about this being the place for coaches. And then you marry that with the co-branding and the ability to, that's like a third set of Russian dolls, right? Yes. So just come in and be a user, just come in and get your coaching credential, or just come in and do everything.
And we offer,
and a business.
Another thing that's worth, a business. Another thing that's worth saying is we beta tested our holistic wellness assessment with Whole Foods Market. I was a faculty member for their Academy for Conscious Leadership for a year and a half, and we actually iterated the assessment. And so as in my role as a faculty member, I did that. And And so this is version 6. So we did test that with a Fortune 50 company, and it is a very powerful assessment. And so
Wow.
and so it's built, we have individual assessment reports, we have team reports for aggregates. So we're also set up to help coaches scale and work with groups, work with teams. So that's also very powerful in terms of just the possibilities, the potentials.
In the I'm thinking of the change management world.
Correct.
Like, which is a whole, consulting and change management world, which is another layer, another set of people. They might not be doing coaching, they may be doing more consulting. If you're doing consulting and you want to add coaching in a very strategic, specific layer, and add these tools, because then you have access to the tools, and you have access, like you said, to a revenue share of if you're using these tools with the people you're consulting with. And when, as an entrepreneur and business person, that's just another whole set of tools and layers that you would have. I think we might have another couple of minutes, another little bit of time where we were able to just, if we did a quick run through of what do you think hypnosis and AI, the frontier that nobody's talking about. I don't think anybody's talking about how hypnosis and AI can be brought together.
And yet it's so exciting. So exciting. I mean, when all of this really hit me a year and a half ago, of the potentials of what could happen with hypnosis alone, like I was like, oh my God, we could have hypnosis MP3s on every, generated at will in every language imaginable, for every symptom imaginable. And I was so excited, but then I thought, no. It has to be ethical. We cannot trust AI to generate. We have to have
talk about the hallucin. You don't want hallucinate. Here's the new mic drop. You do not want AI hallucinations in the middle of a hypnosis script. Just not a good idea.
Not a good idea. So not safe practice. So I quickly, within like 45 minutes, pulled myself back from that one. I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And that's a hard no. That's a no.
About showing me your nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no. That's a no. Like, definitely not. But we do have a hypnosis script generator that Dean has created for hypnotic coaching practitioners that we train to be able to have very nuanced session scripts so that they can do specific topics and get support and so forth. But that, our training definitely teaches our coaches to be very critically minded when they're proofreading that script and making sure that it is fine.
To make sure it's using the word light and not water, but if you know, and
not fire.
And not fire, right? But as someone who has used this tool, and I'll say, I don't know if other people have used it as often as I have or not, but I literally, this particular tool I personally have used in my practice for a couple of months. A couple of months now. Oh my gosh. And I mean, on the fly, being able to come up with what I know is a solid theory-based, appropriately formatted hypnosis script that I am 99.9% sure that it approaches mastery of the tool, that I know I can put in my client's words and say, I need a hypnosis script that does this, this, and this. So I have my brain, and I prompt it to say, this is what my client is saying, and this is what I want it to be. And I know it's going to give me the script that is appropriately formatted within using particular very specific protocols, and safety and grounding for the person, and that I'm going to be able to very likely use the script almost out of the box, while at the same time being the ethical professional that is making sure that I'm careful about what's going on. And that's also where the art comes in, because I think, and that's where it's the human has to be careful of what they're reading, because I will be reading a script to somebody and realize that something's messed up and have to go in my own library and improvise.
Yeah.
So this isn't for someone who is not trained in hypnosis to use. I think you've got to be trained in the modality. And I think that's true of anything, is practicing within your scope of practice, within your own training, not practicing outside of your scope, outside of your training, outside of your license, or your credentials, whatever those are. But if you have that background, oh my God, this is a game-changing tool.
Yeah.
I literally, I can't say enough about that. So Dean, you know what I think about you, Dean. Lisa, I love your husband.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
love mine too, in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, and you are such an amazing light. I love that your last name pronounced is Leit, because you are a light in this world.
Thank you.
You are radiant. You are radiant. Your energy in this world. I am so blessed that we met. We didn't even get to tell our origin story. But I landed in the right place when I decided, let's see, what was it? I decided about 9 months ago that I was going to go ahead and look at an ICF credential, because even though I've, my licensure to practice therapy and my skill sets and my things, I've been doing coaching without the credential. And you don't have to have the credential to do it necessarily. But I decided to go ahead and do that. And I started looking at places, and I just didn't feel right in any of the places. And all of a sudden, you and I both ended up in a meeting together with another group in a situation. And it's like, wait a minute. And she's an AI. This is a person after my own heart. Technology and mental wellness together. Oh yes, please. Yes. Yes. And so I really appreciate that. I think we've got time for a couple of hot seat questions.
Oh God.
Are you?
I don't know. It's Thursday. Okay, sure.
Are you okay for me to, let's see if I can, I don't have my little graphic to show. But are you okay with me roasting your nuts?
Yeah, of course. Go for
it. All right. Let me find a good one. Oh, what is the most unexpected breakthrough story you've witnessed since you launched the AI infrastructure? The most unexpected breakthrough you've witnessed.
Since we've launched the AI infrastructure, I think it's the couples. I think it's the couples work. That's what I'm really excited about. It's like this, the ability to have these tools for diagnostics, to look at what's going on, is just, it's mind-blowing. And it's equipped them to have actionable intelligence and make decisions about and see things from each other's perspectives in a new way. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
I think from what I've heard you discuss with that, and I think when I hear couples, I actually know that, like, the idea is not just a couple, but any two humans in a relationship. It would up level their communications.
Yes.
And when you up level my theory is when you, as a couple, when you can talk about how you talk about things, that's literally your game changer of up leveling your relationship every single time. If you can get through discussing how you discuss things and use those tools, that is one of the things that up levels relationships. each and every time.
I think having that, you know how bringing coaching in helps have a supporter, like a container and a witness, but then having also the AI can help you look at things from all these different perspectives without an agenda about where the other person might be coming from. And so it just is really game changing.
Super powerful, super powerful. Everybody can find your information in, you can find things in the show notes, but what's your one thing that you would want anybody to know, either about you guys or about like just about like what to do next in a life? If you're yeah, what's your closing thought? What's your closing thought?
I think that it's very powerful to take the time to think about what your very best life could look like, your very best version, and just to, like, if you can wave your magic wand. I know it might sound cliche, but literally that is a magical question. If you could wave your magic wand, what would happen? Because it's like, it's a possibility. So why don't we just kind of allow our subconscious creativity to go there? And once we have a vision, our genius subconscious starts organizing and galvanizing towards it. So it's just to think about possibility, play in the field of possibility, get out of the loops of limitation into the questions of what is possible.
I just pictured in my mind this: get out of the loop of the round and round loop and get into the infinity loop of what's out there. Oh, look at that. Oh, what's out there? Oh, look at that. Oh, wait, that may right. And that infinity loop is a different, almost like a sphere around a sphere is different than the toroidal sphere. And the toroid, I can never say the word right. That toroidal sphere shape is like the infinity shape. And it is the energetic shape that is all of possibilities. That's how I view it, and it is, we have this, and it's inside of us. We have access to our own, and it's not an artificial. Our intelligence is infinite. And you are connecting people with that internal infinite intelligence to an artificial huge repository of information, and bringing it back and forth in that.
You're absolutely right, Stacy, but sorry to interrupt you, but with a view to them optimize it, being in charge and having self-leadership.
Yes.
So making decisions and being in control in terms of being empowered.
Yes.
With that.
The individual, you are always in charge, and you are in charge with this information, and you are always safe.
Safety first, and also the empowerment piece is huge, and just that it is always a choice.
The most important pieces of that therapeutic or coaching or change environment: having choice and autonomy, having safety, and having infinite possibilities. That's like that's the nutshell, y'all. That's the nutshell I see of Happy Whole Human.
Well done, Stacy. That was beautiful.
Lisa, this has been amazing. I know that there's constant evolution and things. I would love, and I ask many of my guests this: would you come back sometime and give us an update of what's going on, and maybe we can go deeper into like a different piece, or we'll go deep into one of the pieces we kind of touched, because we literally like tips of the iceberg today, and we made it through a lot of the tips of the iceberg. So I'd love to have you back.
I would love to come back, and thank you for having me today, Stacy. Really appreciate it.
This is an area, when you talk, that was why the magical spark when I met Lisa was, she's doing tech and mental wellness. it's my happy place. You know that as well. And I saw someone else in the world who it's their happy place in a slightly different way. And I know that we've given each other those things back and forth, and I can't wait to continue that relationship as well. I'm going to do our legal disclaimer before I leave the show. Is the views and opinions shared on this episode are based on personal experience and individual perspective. The content is intended for conversation and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical, legal, or financial or professional advice. The Breakthrough Show Network does not verify or guarantee the accuracy of statements made by the participants, and we encourage you to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Which is kind of similar to when you're in a hypnosis session and you tell someone to make their own choice and take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because their unconscious mind is going to do that. And we do the same thing here on the show. So I appreciate everybody who's been watching today. And if you're watching on the replay, all the better. Leave some comments. I'll come back and read them. Share this show out with someone who you think might be, the information might be helpful. Share it, like, subscribe, and all the things. And we will see you next week. Although next week will probably be a pre-recorded squirrel on the show, because I will not be available during showtime. So enjoy next week's pre-recorded show, and I will be back with you live the week after that. So thank you again, Lisa. And thank you to our audience.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.